Right. Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for obviously coming along to listen to this session today. So, as Sue mentioned, I'm called Martin Powton and I'm the marketing manager at Wizu. And today I'm going to talk about the next evolution in surveys, AI chatbots, and the power of conversations. And it feels like quite a natural, actually, progression from the previous presentation there, because it's totally in agreement in terms of really the avenue that we use to collect survey information. Really, it feels like there needs to be some new approaches and some new ideas, and that's certainly the area that we're interested in as well. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense as a follow on from that topic. But a little bit of background about who we are. So, Wizu is part of the latest product from our company, Fusion Software, and we've been around in the kind of market research and customer experience world for about 15 years now, creating a number of different products. And in back end of 2015, Microsoft bought the IP for one of our previous products, a product called Mojo Surveys. And really, at that point, we looked at the survey market, and it was also around the kind of the time of the emergence of the chatbot trend. And we felt like there was an opportunity really to do something a bit different and to have a bit of an innovation in the area. So that's where the idea for Wizu came about. And Wizu is essentially a chatbot for conversational surveys that really offer a more personalized and engaging way to collect feedback. So in terms of what we're going to talk about in this session today, so we're going to take a quick look at the evolution of surveys to really look at where surveys have come from and why we believe that conversational surveys are really the next logical step in that evolution. We're also going to take a look at a case study that looks at a comparison between this kind of conversational survey approach and a more traditional survey form. And also just have a quick look at the benefits that AI can have both during and after the survey experience as well. And hopefully at the end we'll have a couple of minutes for any questions that anybody has. So in terms of the evolution of surveys, really when we look at how they've evolved in the past, they've usually done that through technology. So obviously there was the original face-to-face interviews that ended up being replaced by computer-assisted telephone interviewing. And obviously the advancement of technology and phone scripting really making it possible to carry out larger volumes of surveys. And then, of course, technology evolved again, and web scripting started to become the common survey form. But really, they're now in need of an upgrade, pretty desperately. I think a lot of companies are suffering from survey fatigue, low response rates, and quite often there's a lack of kind of real actionable insight being delivered. So, I guess the question is, what's the kind of technology that can really improve that survey experience? We feel the answer really is that conversational user interfaces and a combination of the advancement of AI is really the kind of next evolution. And artificial intelligence really enables a chatbot to have a conversation with a respondent and really get a better understanding of what they're saying by analyzing open text responses, identifying sentiments and topic being mentioned, and that really helps categorize key trends from a reporting point of view, but also actually in real time in the conversation. It allows that chatbot to engage, to better understand the issue being raised, to ask intelligent follow-up questions, or in some scenarios, you maybe even kind of close a feedback loop. So lots of ways that it can really make a kind of a more engaging interaction than just someone filling in a form. So what we find is that conversational surveys can really improve that survey experience. So by offering that more engaging, interactive, and more personalized survey. And in some ways, actually, conversational surveys are kind of going back to that more of an old style of a face-to-face interview. So gaining that deeper insight through having conversations, but obviously rather than having to deploy hundreds of teams of interviewers with clipboards, you can actually just have one chatbot that's conducting those surveys in bulk in real time. And looking back, both face-to-face and the telephone interviews had that human interaction, but really web forms lost the idea of having an interviewer, and the survey became more an individual experience. So what a chatbot's able to do is really make it more of a social experience again. So a bot's able to actually give reactions or route the conversation in real time, depending on the responses that are coming back. But that approach really allows you to gain a deeper level of insight, but also provide a more engaging experience for the respondent as well. So why should you really use a conversational survey? So a conversational user interface has really become the default format that a lot of people are using. So respondents are already conditioned to that platform. That the combined user base of the top 4 messaging apps is now more than the users of the top 4 social media networks. So it's a type of interaction that feels natural to pretty much almost everyone. And I think that the previous one-size-fits-all approach to traditional surveys is not really no longer accepted by the respondents. I think they expect to have a more personalised and more interactive experience that really conversational UIs can offer. As I mentioned, using a chatbot allows you to have thousands of those personalised survey conversations running at the same time, which really allows brands to connect more closely with the audience without obviously having to dedicate more time and more resources. And also, according to a report from Gartner, chatbots will power around 85% of all customer service interactions by next year. So customers are already embracing that technology and are happy to talk to a bot as long as that bot is delivering a good experience. So let's take a look at a real use case, and what we're going to look at is comparing the effectiveness and performance of conversational surveys against the traditional form-based surveys. And we're going to look at things like the quality of feedback, the survey experience itself, and also the level of actionable insight that's being gathered. So the scenario we selected for this comparison was a hotel post-visit satisfaction survey. And the reason we selected that scenario was it involved quite a simple subject that everybody could relate to, and would also be easy to recruit for in terms of getting a sample audience. And to do that, we used an independent panel provider, and we got a representative sample of respondents, so an even distribution of things like gender, age, and location. And we got a total of 537 responses for each platform, so a good sample to be able to make a good comparison of the data that we're collecting back. So in the results, we looked at things like, as I mentioned, the quality of feedback gained through each platform, looking really areas such as the amount of actionable insight that we gathered. And the survey was split into 2 main areas. So the first was more of a control, which measures the actual hotel stay experience. And then secondly, we looked at feedback on the actual survey experience itself. So let's take a look at the results. So firstly, we looked at the response data. So would using a conversational survey actually affect the metrics that are being measured? But also, what impact does the platform have on the quality of feedback? So what we found is that the results showed that the survey medium itself actually had very little impact on core metrics, such as in this scenario, the Net Promoter Score metric. So there was no bias in terms of being able to affect the core metrics that you're measuring. What we did find is that the conversational survey resulted in respondents taking more time to answer questions and provide more detailed responses. The conversational survey was really able to automatically probe and unlock extra insight, and that resulted in respondents providing 118% more words than the traditional survey form. So a higher volume of open text responses coming back in. So the next challenge we had was around the respondent experience. So would respondents prefer a conversational survey interface? And also, does that actually allow them to express their views more easily? And again, what the results showed here was that respondents rated the conversational survey experience much higher than the traditional survey, with 57% of respondents rating the conversational survey as 10 out of 10, while only 11% gave the top score to the traditional survey. That really means that respondents are more likely to actually complete the survey and also provide better quality feedback. If they're engaging and enjoying the experience, they're going to be more likely to stick with it and provide better quality feedback. We also found that 88% more respondents that took the conversational survey also strongly agreed that the survey made it easy for them to express their feedback. So really, it gave them the tools to be able to express how they feel on their terms, rather than ticking some matrix boxes that maybe don't cover the areas that they want to talk about. And some of the comments that came back from the conversational survey, people say it was fun, they wanted to do more of that survey, easy to complete and different, and it made the experience more interesting. It feels much nicer than a typical repetitive survey. People say they like to do more surveys like that. So obviously, just giving them the ability to be able to platform to be able to provide their opinion in a more engaging way. Another challenge that's sometimes raised, and I know this kind of came up on the previous presentation as well, is whether older demographics would actually be open to an alternative interface. In this case, the kind of conversational interface. And although the kind of largest increase was in the younger generations, what the study found that actually all age ranges rated the conversational survey experience higher than the traditional survey. So all demographics kind of had a universal preference for kind of this approach. So that really ensures that you're getting a wide sample of responses from customers and also delivering a positive experience for all those respondents. So obviously offering a good experience is great, but one of the key questions is, does conversational surveys actually provide you with better quality data? And the study showed that conversational surveys actually generated 91% more actionable insight from respondents. So what that means is that rather than someone saying this was good or that was bad, it's really getting down into the root causes, the reasons behind that. And that obviously means that there's much deeper insight available. And obviously from an organization's point of view, they can then more easily identify where they can focus attention to improve the customer experience or service or whatever it is that they're trying to measure. So I can go into a bit of detail in terms of how exactly it can do that. So artificial intelligence was used within the actual conversational survey to be able to automatically probe for more information based on the responses that the respondent was given. And that's done using things like keyword triggers and for real-time sentiment analysis. And gaining insights from feedback is obviously one of the key areas that you can use to kind of be able to improve customer experience, and using intelligent follow-up questions are really essential in identifying those key trends. And in our case study, there was actually an additional 175 comments gathered from probing around the positive or negative comments. So again, that really allows you to get to the root cause of any issue. So for example, if someone says they're not very happy with the parking at a hotel, you don't know whether that's due to the cost, the lack of spaces, whether it's accessibility or something else. So by asking that relevant follow-up question, you're then able to find out the reasons behind that, and really kind of that becomes much more actionable and valuable information. And by automatically probing, you're going beyond those kind of simple identifying just the likes and dislikes, and really getting a better understanding of where people are having a positive or negative experience. And it also really helps you kind of accurately isolate the customer pain points and address them in a way that can really make a positive difference to an experience. We also found that there was an additional 526 further comments gathered when prompting for topics that the respondent had not mentioned. So what it was able to do is really look at what the respondent has talked about and being able to then probe on some common areas that you're interested in that maybe they haven't mentioned. So really by adding that additional follow-up question, you're able to kind of allow the respondent to express their views on the areas that are important to them, but also ensuring they're still collecting feedback on the areas that are important to your organization. So there are clear advantages to using AI within a survey conversation, but that also creates a new problem, really. So obviously the idea is we're gathering larger volumes of really useful kind of verbatim comments. But the post-survey data processing, that can often be quite a large task that often requires a team of data analysts trying to make sense of uncorrelated data and text. So using AI-powered text analytics can really do all that hard work for you. So it allows you to turn that data, again, into actionable insight. So by automatically analyzing the open text responses, you can really start to identify the trends in terms of the areas that have the biggest negative emotional impact or biggest positive impact, and really show you the context and specific issues being commonly raised. You can also do things like being able to track that sentiment over time, so you can see if things are changing, whether that's kind of on a positive or negative kind of trajectory there as well. So we're just about running out of time, so I just wanted to kind of quickly summarize what I've just gone through there. So obviously, the traditional surveys quite often not delivering a very good experience, but opinions are really more vital than ever for organizations. So conversational surveys really offer a new approach to surveys that offer a more engaging, personalized experience that we find delivers high completion rates, and that itself can lead to a more representative sample, so that can really improve your data quality. But it also provides a deeper and more actionable insight by generating those more detailed responses and the automated probing. So combining that with the power of AI can really offer you a next level of real-time understanding and routing, which can really create a better respondent experience. It also allows you to turn your data and text responses into actionable insight by automating that data analysis. So it's making it a better experience for the respondent, but really delivering much better insight for the people conducting the research or collecting the information. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. So I'd just like to pass it back over to Sue and see if anyone had any questions there.